Okay, folks, just want to add to my electrical video a little bit, some more specific things. As you can see, we did a little bit of wire tying to try to neaten up my wiring across, all that stuff that goes across there to the inverter and stuff. But talked about that ground point. That is your ground point to the frame. See where I scratched the paint off of? And a lot of these wires coming in that were behind the walls went up to the top and down to here very neatly. Not real hard on these ProMasters. I don't know about other vans, but pretty easy. That's your fuse blocks. As you notice, I've got everything labeled into that. That's a spare for the Energy Apex. And that wire is going across up to the front. And all I gotta do is just plug that into the Energy and I can tie things in with that. Oops, sorry. That's your smoke detector I talk about. You need by your electrical. You don't want to be asleep in your van up under here, something going on. You want to know early. That may seem a little overkill to some or over worrisome, but you don't want to be in a situation where you wish you had. If you notice, my Renogy has a battery temperature sensor. That is what that is. And that's that battery. That battery's about 24 inches long. It's about 75 pounds. And it's a workhorse, it really is. And that is the breaker that I'll be switching out for the A&L fuse. That's the main breaker to the battery, from the battery to the inverter. Well, hopefully that'll work. But these are the bus bars I talk about. There's your positive bus bar. There's your ground bus bar. All your grounds are going to that, to and from the battery. That is the battery monitor shunt. That's the two grounds, one from the battery and one from the main ground, and positive straight to the battery. All your battery connections right there. If you notice the heat shrink I did for the 4-gauge cable, that's your master on and off switch. Very important to have that. You want to be able to pull power from that, maybe that, which honestly, I probably wouldn't have needed that. That breaker would work fine, but we're going to have to pull that breaker out. That's going to have to work. This is a 50 amp breaker that goes to the fuse panels from your 12 volt power source. I wanted that so if I'm switching fuses out in the block, I don't pop anything else. It's good to just pop power to that. You can pop power to that to keep, it's almost like a battery disconnect between that master switch and that. You got a battery disconnect to not drain your battery if you need to store it for a long time. What I didn't talk about was my AC plugs in the wall. Basically, all I did from IKEA, I've got those 4 AC plugs with extension cable to 20 amp extension cables. Make sure they're 20 amp rated. I had to order them from Amazon, really, because I couldn't find them at Lowe's. And just plug those two, one line to one side of the RV and one to the other, straight into the inverter. I didn't feel like hard wiring, AC wiring to a breaker box from there. Now, you can do that. That's your prerogative. But this inverter has 4 ports on it. And a whole lot. It tells you your battery level and some indication and things that you need to know. So, very important to make sure they're 20 amp rated. That's the easiest thing. You don't want to bury that stuff in the wall. That way, as I said before, I can disconnect all this stuff and I can rearrange and do things different that I want to do. So that's basically that, the power in a nutshell. When the AC goes in here, it's going to have to go about right in here. And one line, the blower up to here, and the return's going to be coming out here. I'm going to end up putting a vent in that door. It'll pull air from back here and there in and blow air up top, and I'll just tie it to that panel. It'll be easy. That's the only way it's going in this van. But anyway, on the electrical, I wanted to add this real quick because I didn't cover this stuff. This was probably my best approach. This thing here is my 20 amp from the shore power, and basically all I did was drill a hole. Clancy and I drilled a hole, we took a grommet, we took some silicone sealant, and I took the other end, the male end, and we just took the male end and took it all the way up to the base, to the under the RV to the base, ran the cable through here, and we silicone sealed it. It isn't moving, and I spliced it. It's not the greatest looking thing in the world, but it's, like I say, electrical tape is the original heat shrink, and it works. I twisted green to green, white to white, black to black, and 20 amp coming in right there. So what I can do is run 20 amp in. If I want to just go shore power, I can do it. Or I can run a 20 amp line, which I have one back here, and just run it straight to the front or back here if I want to do it. Also, the biggest reason for that is this. I've got a battery charger. It's a converter. That is this thing right here, a Power Max battery charger. Don't know when I'll use it, but I need to set it up. It's mainly to keep my batteries charged if I'm going to keep it on 20 amp. If I'm parked somewhere and I need to, there's rain or clouds and there's no solar, I've got other means to keep my batteries charged, to keep unlimited power. That's the cool thing about that. So that's that in a nutshell. And these are the AC plugs that I got from IKEA. Look like they were built into the wall, tucked right up under there to the 20 amp cable. Goes all the way back. Just easy as that. There is my Energy Apex. I'll do an extensive review on that. Also, my Alpacool refrigerator was tied to a cigarette lighter plug right there. And that's one of 5 of those I talked about that I made. This is the cigarette lighter plug. This is a cigarette lighter plug I used that I wired an end to that I'm going to do the plug to charge the Apex while I'm driving. It's the cigarette lighter. Basically, I just tied together a male end to here. You got a 15 amp inline fuse. I left it on there. And those. And I think these were like 15 feet long or something. Ideal. Those were, you get the option, you can cut them and do whatever you want to do with them, which is very, very cool. So my refrigerator is amazing. Running 24/7, doesn't use any power. Another AC port. That's the remote for my inverter. We've got the Caframo fan. We'll be talking about those. There's my microwave. Basically, my microwave is just plugged in right there. It's easy as that. And these RVs, they're plugged into a plug in a closet. Easy in, easy out. Nothing intricate. There's a dream light I talked about in the last video. $35 for the pair of those. This is my battery monitor. I've talked about this before. My battery monitor can give me all my information. I'm at 100%, at less than an amp hour to 200. There's a voltage coming in, 1 watt coming in because the sun is not coming in real bright right now, but it's how many amps are coming in 100%. There's some other things you can monitor on this that I haven't read about. I need to find out more on that deal. There's your RV light switch. You see these in RVs all the time. Little battery powered puck light. That's battery powered. It pulls on from that remote right there. And the Max Air fan. Max Air fan. And these Caframo fans are wired with those cigarette lighter plugs. Now, I will touch on one thing I did not talk about. Cigarette lighter plugs are good to go with for one reason. USB changes all the time. I actually was reminded of that from another channel. It's called Explorist.life. They're on YouTube, and him and his wife were VANLIFers, and he said USB changes all the time, so just get your cigarette lighter plug and do a USB adapter. You can always get an adapter for anything. The one difference is that, like my Energy Apex, I've got USB, and I think I got USB-C right there. If those change, you just get adapters for them, but it's best to do cigarette lighter plugs, so that's going to change really all the time. And I keep harking on that baby, but I think it's so cool. I'm going to show you that, and these base camp lights that come with it too. So, but electrically, that's the rundown. My CPAP is plugged into another cigarette lighter plug. I have a DC to DC converter on that. Doesn't use much battery power at all overnight. And this is my Renogy DC-DC05 charge controller. This thing, man, it tells you the state of, there's the alternator charge. What it's doing is it goes back and forth, charges my car batteries if it's already topped off my other batteries. There's this, how much solar, the red light indicates there's some coming in, but it's not blinking like it's full charge. That's my battery full, the green. The blue is my battery type indicator. I think I finally fixed that. It's staying on blue like it's supposed to. It's the battery type indication of lithium ion. These are the breakers and the leads, one from my alternator and one going to the battery, as well as a negative, and my solar coming in right there. This is your MTI gas detector I talked about. That thing only uses about 1/10 of an amp. You want one of these in your van, and they do work. Again, it's not over worrisome or overkill. You just don't know. That's some of the added stuff that I did not point out when I talked last. So until then, we'll see you on the next video.